This is Ticker News, news with context.
Hello, Aaron Young with the Ticker News feed. Donald Trump has issued a stark warning to Denmark, threatening high tariffs if officials refuse to cooperate with his aspirations for Greenland. His remarks come amid controversial claims about potential territorial acquisitions, including the Panama Canal, and suggestions that Canada could become America's 51st state. During a recent news conference, he questioned Denmark's legal right to Greenland while pushing its importance for US national security. Officials from Denmark and beyond have swiftly rejected the expressionist proposals. Trump even suggested renaming the Gulf of Mexico as the Gulf of America, deeming it a more fitting name.
Mexico's really in trouble, a lot of trouble. Very dangerous place. And we're going to be announcing a future date pretty soon. We're going to change, because we do most of the work there and it's ours. We're going to be changing, sort of the opposite of Biden, where he's closing everything up, essentially getting rid of $50 to $60 trillion worth of assets. We're going to be changing the name of the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, which has a beautiful ring that covers a lot of territory. The Gulf of America, what a beautiful name. And it's appropriate. It's appropriate. And Mexico has to stop allowing millions of people to pour into our country. They can stop them. And we're going to put very serious tariffs on Mexico and Canada, because Canada, they come through Canada too, and the drugs that are coming through are at record numbers, record numbers. So we're going to make up for that by putting tariffs on Mexico and Canada, substantial tariffs. And we want to get along with everybody, but you know, they have to, it takes two to tango.
Meanwhile, Donald Trump has pushed for NATO members to increase their defence spending to 5% of GDP, a significant rise from the current 2% minimum. Trump argues that European nations can afford the increase, especially given the threat imposed by Moscow. He highlighted the geographical distance as a factor, questioning why the US shoulders much of the financial burden. It comes as NATO voices support for heightened defence spending, signalling the need to prepare for potential conflicts with Russia. Trump also criticised the Biden administration over the Ukraine war's handling.
So, you know, a big part of the problem was Russia for many, many years, long before Putin said you could never have NATO involved with Ukraine. Now, they've said that. That's been like written in stone. And somewhere along the line, Biden said, no, they should be able to join NATO. Well, then Russia has somebody right on their doorstep, and I could understand their feeling about that. But there were a lot of mistakes made in that negotiation. And when I heard the way that Biden was negotiating, I said, you're going to end up in a war. And it turned out to be a very bad war. And it could escalate. That war could escalate to be much worse than it is right now.
A New York court has officially denied Donald Trump's attempt to postpone his sentencing set for this Friday related to hush money payments to a porn star. The court's decision follows a failed bid by Trump's legal team to delay proceedings while they appeal earlier rulings affirming his 34 felony convictions. The trial judge has indicated that he is unlikely to impose a prison sentence during sentencing, suggesting an unconditional discharge may be more appropriate. Meta is making a really big shift by ending fact-checking and lifting speech restrictions on Facebook and Instagram. Mark Zuckerberg announced the decision aims to restore free expression, moving to a community note system similar to X. While ensuring efforts against illegal activity do continue, Meta will stop enforcing certain content rules deemed outdated. Zuckerberg says the changes have been a long time coming.
Because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media to give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today. But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political. But there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation. These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship.
Stocks took a hit as new economic data causes Treasury yields to rise and raises concerns over Fed Reserve rate cuts later on this year. The S&P 500 dipped nearly 0.8%, while the Dow lost 56 points. Nasdaq fell by 1.5%. Recent data from the Institute for Supply Management showed faster than expected growth in the US services sector, raising inflation worries. Notable declines included Nvidia, which dropped over 5% after achieving a record high, and Tesla, which fell nearly 4% following a downgrade. Now, let's check the latest weather for you wherever you are around the world.